All right, let's get started for today. Again, thank you for attending this session in our webinar series at Cashflow Champs. It is our intention to bring you good content on a weekly basis, to develop good relationships with you, and also to be a resource for you in the multifamily real estate space. Today, we'll be covering the topic, finding partners for your multifamily syndication. So in this webinar, we will be covering the different topics, proven strategies for finding partners. We're going to talk about successful partnership, what to do and what not to do, and roles and responsibilities for each partner, and also successful communication for effective partnership, right? So we're going to touch on those, cover those topics today. But just by way of introduction, for myself, I am Paul Sr. I am one of the managing partners at Cashflow Champs. I'm married and I live in Prince George's County, Maryland, just right outside Washington, D.C. with my wife and 3 children. And just to get some more information about us, you can always go to our website. And there, if you go to our website and you hover over about us, you come down to our team, then you will see information on our team here. These are members of our team. There are 6 members that make up the Cashflow Champs team. Take a minute and you can always go through that. Another thing that we encourage you to do as well is that you can always come and click on schedule a call on the top right hand corner here. And there you can schedule a call. You can just fill out the information that is right here. And then we will contact you and be able to communicate with you and see how we can work together. I'm also the co-host of the Cashflow Champs Real Estate Podcast. And if you want to get some more information on that, that podcast comes out once a week. So definitely try to listen to it, subscribe to it. We also have interview real people who got real good information to share. And that is something that is also informational that can help you to grow in your business. Our portfolio right now is about $146 million, asset under management, a little over 1,600 doors. And just give you these QR codes here, where you can also get some free resources from us as well. On Saturdays at 4 p.m., one of our managing partner, Charles Seaman, he underwrite deals, and he goes through the T12, the rent roll, and just underwrite deals in general. And that way you can learn how to do that. So that's a free resource that we have for you guys that you can absolutely take advantage of. So we also encourage you to do that as well. You can simply scan the QR code that's on your screen, and then you can get access to that free resource. We also have the Aristocrat Coaching Program, right? It's a coaching program that we have. That is a paid program where we have students coming into the program. Some students are new, who are just starting out for the first time in the real estate business, and we're teaching them how to do that. And that's a great way for them to get started there. Also, we also have a yearly Cashflow Champs Summit that we do. So on a yearly basis, we do a summit, and it's normally November 17th, 18th, and 19th, but at least for this year, it's November 17th, 18th, and 19th. We encourage you to go there as well and sign up. It is free, and you can get some information regarding the summit. So that will be something that you can take advantage of. Last year's recording is still there, and you can get the resources there for free as well. So feel free to go there, grab that information, and use it to your advantage. We have a disclaimer for today, just to say that I'm not an attorney, financial advisor, tax advisor, and accountant. The purpose of this webinar is for information purposes only. So you want to seek the advice from the appropriate personnel in terms of making investment decisions, right? Before we get started, let me just take a quick poll. If you're here and you'd like to be a business partner with someone, or you're available either to be a business partner or you're looking for a partner, just put a 1 in the chat. I just want to kind of see what type of audience we have here today. Just take a second and do that for me. Okay. Okay. All right. Now here's one thing you want to also know. One thing you want to do is to also join the Cashflow Champs Investor Club. In this business of finding partners in multifamily syndication, networking is going to be a big part of it. So at Cashflow Champs, we have the Cashflow Champs Investor Club. I will drop that link in the chat as well. Let me grab it here. Okay, there you go. We have well over 500 individuals who are part of the investor club right now who have similar interests like probably you do in terms of seeking a partner. And that's a great way. If you have any questions, you can post them there. You can get a lot of information there. You can get a lot of back and forth information between the people in the club, investor club, and there's a lot of learning that goes on there. So to join it, we'll ask you a few questions and then grant you access. But once you get into the group, it's a great idea for you to let people know that you're there, right? And to let them know that you're looking for partners. You want to post about who you are, about your skill sets, probably about the different markets that you're looking in and what you're looking for in a potential partner, right? So that way others can know that you're looking for a partner, and that way they can get in touch with you, and you can also get in touch with them so that those relationships can start forging. That's an ideal place to start reaching out. And then of course you may want to take it offline and just to hop on a Zoom call and just to check out alignment of interest and things like that. So we're talking about finding partners today for multifamily syndication, and that's definitely a way to get out the gate, because networking is a huge component, like I said, of finding your partner for multifamily syndication. So you'll have to get out there, you'll have to connect with like-minded people in the multifamily space, and you're going to get going that way. So that's for starters. We're going to jump into some strategies that we can use, for finding that partner that we're referencing here today. So just some simple strategies that has been effective for individuals. One thing is a virtual meetup, right? Nothing to take lightly. The virtual meetup, you can absolutely do those. You can do it on, Microsoft Meetup. You can do it on on Zoom. And, is an easy way for you to get going, right? So what you want to do is just set up a one-on-one meeting on the Zoom platform. Since the pandemic, the Zoom platform has just been tremendous, and other similar platforms like it has been tremendous in terms of making connections with individuals, and a lot of relationship has been built online. And of course, the Zoom is a good way to do that. So you want to go ahead and set up just a normal 30-minute call with different people, right? Tour maybe between 3 times a day, depending on how much time you have. I know I was doing it 2-3 times a day when I just started out in the multifamily space about 3 years ago or so, and it has been a great resource for me for where I am at today. So set up a normal 30-minute call, and you can learn. You can set goals. You can learn about the other person, right? What are the other person's goals? What are the objectives? What is it that they're trying to accomplish, right? You want to kind of identify some strengths and weaknesses with the individuals that you're talking with, because the idea here is just to identify where there are synergies. You want to identify if there's any alignment of interests, and you want to make sure that you're trying to find out where people's markets are. What market are you in? Where are you looking for properties, right? You want to find out what the aspirations are. So all this can be done, using that Zoom platform, can be done in a virtual meetup environment. And that way, you can get the ball rolling so that you can see if that's a relationship you want to continue to seek after based on where it's leading, right? You also want to make sure you have your own value proposition ready, right? So what is it that you offer? Where's your strength? Where's your weaknesses? And those are things that you want to share. And a big thing is just to continue to follow up with those Zoom calls. Once you have those virtual meetings, you want to keep a constant follow-up. So it's like you're in a job search. You're always looking out for the person with the right fit, right? Another thing too is just local meetups and RIAs, right? There's a lot of local meetups that are having in-person sessions again, right? This is a great avenue to meet people face to face, to shake their hands and have discussions about what is it that you do. You can really enhance your multifamily learning and your networking at these events, which of course enhances your chance of finding partners, right? So in-person meetup is good in the sense that it kind of encourages more collaboration, it encourages more participation, and people are able to read other people's body language and have more fluid conversation, right? So these local meetups and RIA club meetups, which are happening again, like I said, it really encourages purposeful, like small talks, just to get a conversation going, right? So Cashflow Champs has about 5 local meetups right now, I mean, across the United States and one in Canada. So if you happen to be in one of those locations where we have them, please take full advantage. I know we have one in Dallas, one in DC, we have one in New York, definitely one in Toronto. And, you know, we have those there. You can always jump to our website and see where they're located. But there are many other local meetups too, right? There are many other meetups that are available that offer you networking opportunities. So now people are getting back out there and intermingling the way they are right now in terms of local meetups. Make sure you take advantage of those and the RIA clubs that are local to you, right? You also want to go to larger multifamily events. I would suggest you attend at least 2 of those larger events each year. So just schedule those events on your calendar and make preparation to attend, right? You can do these events virtually, of course, but you can also do them in person, right? One event at Cashflow Champ I made mention of before, which I think is one of certainly the best, is the Cashflow Champs event in November that's coming up. Last year we did it. We had about over 1,300 registrants that shows up, that registered, and we also had a very strong turnout of over 800 individuals, right? So now those are 800 possibilities, you know, that you could connect with. We're going to have it again this year, and certainly you're invited to come. It's for free. That's why I encourage you at first to sign up. Just go to cfcsummit.com and sign up there, right? Again, the recording from last year, where we have great speakers like Dan Hanford, Trevor McGregor, we have Rod Cleef, we have those guys. We still have the recording from 2022 on the CFC Summit site. You can go there and you can still have access to those. So I would encourage you to attend at least one large meetup this year, maybe one virtual and maybe one in person, right? The in-person one, like I said, it always gives you more opportunity for collaboration and participation. So if I was going to suggest 2, you could try 2 of the larger meetup. I would probably try this year is maybe MFI and Con, right? One is coming up in June. Those guys are good operators out of the Carolinas. And there's Ultimate Partnering that's coming up in September in San Diego. Well, now with these in-person events, it will require some financial investment. So between the ticket price of the event and the hotel accommodation and travel, you may be looking at a few $100s, right? But remember, the biggest investment you will make is in your business is the investment in your own self-education, right? So you do want to make the investment. It could be the very best decision that you make in terms of your financial future, the one that you deserve and the one that you're working after. So I would say definitely try to get those events carved out. Another strategy that you can use is just through a coaching program, right? You can find your ideal partner through a coaching program that you're involved with. Now, if you're not a part of a coaching program, you may want to consider one, right? Because your coach is a good person to ask for advice about selecting the right partner. Coaches normally have a good indication of their student's skill set, and also, can make good recommendations as far as partner and go. Because many teams that I know are built that way, right? Just the mere financial commitment to join a coaching program sometimes will separate those students to a higher level of dedication about the business. So in a way, a coaching program is a way to kind of screen individuals who are more serious about the outcome they seek in the multifamily real estate investing. Now, that's not always the case, right? But certainly it's a factor that you have to consider, right? So you want to check with your coach, if you have one, about who you think might be a good partner for you. Another thing you want to do in terms of strategy is podcasts, right? You can be a guest on a podcast. There are a variety of podcasts out there. Just select the ones that you want to be a guest on, reach out to the host of it, and try to be a guest on those podcasts. That's a great way to get exposure to different people's network, right? So somebody may have been running a podcast for a year or 2 or 3 years. They have already built up a following. If you go on that podcast as a guest, then you get exposure to all those individuals. There you can share your story, you can share your goals, you can share what your aspirations are. You can talk about your investment journey to date, right? Some people are coming out of single family background into the multifamily space. I did that, and it was a great opportunity for me to talk about that on podcast and get connections there. You'll be surprised how many people really reach out to you by just hearing your story and can identify with you because they have a similar there's a commonality, right? There's something you can talk about and they're in the same space. You may be even in a different asset class. It may be you're industrial, or you may be in office space or whatever. You're coming over to multifamily. That is cool. You get on a podcast and talk about it, right? And some people are coming directly into multifamily too. So whatever your story is, whatever your journey is, I mean, you think you should document that and be prepared to present it on a podcast, because you may draw alignment of interest from people who are walking the same path that you're walking, but just looking out for you. And unless you reach out, they'll never know that you're there. So let people know that you're out there looking for potential partners, right? Don't be a secret agent on this one. Do you really want to get that information out, get that word out? Because it's not just who you know, is who know you that can probably make a difference in terms of the partner they end up finding. And here's another thing. You can start your own podcast, right? I mean, you can start your podcast on Spotify. You can do it even on Zoom, whatever platform you choose. Go ahead and start your podcast. Matter of fact, it's not so difficult to do. It's relatively easy. I mean, for very basics, just choose a name for the podcast. You need to choose a niche you want to focus on per se, whether it be multifamily or some other space. Get some intro music, grab a mic, and attract some guests. I mean, get people up on this podcast and interview them, right? You can get professional help if you need to get the podcast going, but certainly it's a great way for you to add value and interact with best-in-class multifamily operators and people who operate different businesses, right? So you get a subject matter expert on the podcast that projects you as an authoritative figure on the subject matter. And what that helps to do is just to build social currency for you, right? So you can build a network of followers by hosting your own podcast, and you will find out that as you build that network, you're also building your database. Especially if you're one who's going to be maybe a capital raiser or something like that later, you will definitely need a database. Your team itself overall will need a database of people who can help you to do this business. So, but first and foremost, getting that podcast, being a host on a podcast, and then, you starting your own podcast, opens those doors where you can find the partners that you will need in terms of getting things done. So let's talk then about successful partnership, right? Because that is also one of the content that we want to cover today. So what constitutes a good partnership? Let's talk about that just for a second. As a matter of fact, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. We will get to those questions maybe throughout the presentation or at the end of the presentation, but we're here to definitely address all the questions that you have today. So successful partnership. What constitutes a good partnership? Well, to get started, there are some things that are more valuable than money, right? One is a good name. A good name is to be desired above riches. That's what a good book says. So in finding a partner in multifamily syndication, you want to find someone who has an alignment of values, ethics, and goals, right? You want to deal with people who handle business fairly and honestly, and people who are trustworthy, right? You want people who have good work ethics, right? You want to have somebody who is putting in their fair share of contribution to the overall success of the partnership, right? if time needs to go in and invest it in there, which it will be needed initially, you need somebody who is up to the task for that. Again, the alignment of the goals, those are things that has to be discussed. We'll go over some questions later as to how we can see about those alignment, but certainly you need someone who is dependable and reliable, right? Because the business will take a concerted amount of effort in the early stages to get going, right? I mean, you're probably gonna, well, we have done it. We have spent thousands and thousands of dollars out of our pockets just to get the business going in the very beginning. So there's no guarantee of that money coming back, but certainly it's an investment in the business. And thankfully things are working out, but you have to make those business decisions. So you're going to want to have somebody who knows that, understands that you can depend on that person for those resources, and they're reliable. One of the biggest thing in partnership too is communication, just like it is in any relationship. In a marital relationship and in a relationship, communication is a huge thing. So it is also with partnership. If you want a successful partnership, you want to be with people who you kind of speak the same language, so to speak, right? So you definitely want somebody who communicates well and somebody who can express their feelings without the frustration, right? And you want to talk about the risk tolerance. Different people have different risk tolerance, right? So if you have an individual who like to take bigger risk with, say, value add properties, some people just like value add. They like the physical value add. They want to get in there, get C and D class properties. They want to renovate them, put a lot of capex in them, put a lot of energy into that, and then, you know, probably sell it at a good profit, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you just got to know that's totally different from an A-class asset, right? There's less risk associated with the A-class asset per se, right? So if it is that you can't sleep at night because, you know, you don't know where the turns or the renovation, how the renovation is going to be happening, then, you know, you got to weigh that up front with a potential partner that you're having, right? So you want to get an idea in terms of their risk tolerance, what it is that, you know, their risk level is. So some of those things are important for successful partnership. So one of the questions we want to ask here is what to do and what not to do when you're finding your partner, right? We want to answer that because it is an important one. Well, one thing you don't want to do is to choose someone who has similar strengths as you do, right? You want to choose someone who can complement your weakness. So we tend to, there tend to be clearly defined roles and responsibilities when it comes to multifamily syndication, right? So you can choose someone who can adapt and grow to fulfill in their role. Typically, the roles in multifamily kind of hover around acquisition and broker relations. You may have asset management, you know, capital raising. You may have marketing, investor relations, and things like that. So you want to find a partner who can work with you there, and one of the key partner is you, right? So who are these partners we're trying to find? First, you want to start with you, right? Because if you don't have a partner currently, guess what? You're partner number one, right? So start with yourself. Do an analysis of yourself. Ask yourself some questions and seek in-depth answers from you, right? So you may want to ask yourself, do I really want to be a multifamily syndicator? Because the truth of it is that multifamily syndication is a lot of work, and there's a lot of exterior glamour to it. And you know, everybody want to have 1,000 units, 2,000 units, 5,000 units, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is a lot of work, it is a lot of commitment, and you got to ask yourself, do I really want to be a multifamily syndicator? Find out what it takes to be a successful one, and whether or not, and talk to those individuals. If you can get an opportunity to interview some of those individuals, go ahead and do that, right? So you can get a good insight before you make a total commitment. But you really want to work on partner number one, who is yourself. Do I really want to be a multifamily syndicator? What is my motivation to become a multifamily operator? Is it to genuinely help other people gain financial freedom and time freedom? Or am I attracted primarily by the wealth-building opportunity multifamily syndication presents me, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be financially free yourself, but just realize that life goes beyond self-service, right? true joy comes from really helping others. At some point in time, the arrows have to start pointing away from yourself and outward to others, right? How can I help others? You can ask yourself, is multifamily syndication a long-term play for me? Can I see myself doing this 10, 20 years from today? How much time do you have to commit to building a multifamily syndication business, right? If you're working full-time now, do you see yourself transitioning from a full-time to transition to a full-time multifamily syndicator? For example, if you have a W-2 right now, right? And another thing too, you want to find out, do I have enough reserve to cover my expenses for at least 6 months if you're going to do that full-time transition into multifamily syndication? So you just got to keep these questions coming at you yourself, drill down into the very important partner of multifamily syndication, and that person is really you. Because now, once you've decided that you want to be a multifamily syndicator and you have the right reasons to become one, then you've earned the right to ask others to join you on that journey, right? So just think about partner number one very carefully. Well, let's talk about maybe some roles and responsibilities as it comes to finding partners. So here's where you have to place yourself in a position of your greatest strength, right? We talked earlier that you really want partners that will complement your weaknesses. So now you have to do some strength and weakness analysis check as well, right? You want to say, what is my area of strength? You want to document that. You want to write it down. Just don't use your brain for a filing cabinet. Go ahead and use a piece of paper, write it down, write it out, because you want to see it before you. You want to see it something you can look at every day, right? And keep adding to it on a daily basis. So evaluate yourself. What are my strengths? What am I good at in the multifamily syndication space? What are my areas of weaknesses, right? What part of the business do not come natural to me, right? Am I good at building broker relations, for example? Am I good at underwriting? Am I good at investor relations? You may be good at investor relations because you may enjoy communicating with other investors and keeping them up to date with investment offerings and also answering their question and keep them informed about upcoming opportunities and so on. So you really want to delve into that and see exactly where you stand. How am I about capital raising? Can I raise significant amount of capital? What does my network look like, right? You want to delve into all of that. I mean, just make sure that you're answering those questions. It could be that you're good at marketing, right? You could be good at advertising. So whatever areas your background is in, you got to see whether or not it best serve you for the team that you're trying to form. So but once you've answered some of these questions and probably more, it will help you to locate yourself as to where you can serve the team best that you're trying to form. Typically, a multifamily syndication team will pretty much hover around 3 to 5 different major areas when you're getting started. And I think we touched on some of those before, right? It will probably hover around broker relations, where this is a person on your team who will get connected with the commercial brokers and to get the deals that you want to add to your portfolio, right? You'll also hover around investor relations, where there's constant contact with the limited partners, capital raising, and we talk about operations and also marketing as well. So those are major areas that you want to fill as you get going. You may not fill them all the way. You may have to wear 2 or 3 different caps or hats starting out. I mean, but as your team grows, of course, there'll be more people who goes down specific lanes in terms of fulfilling those. So you identify your area of strength so that you can now find partners with complementary skill to build out the team. By complementary skill set, I mean finding people to fulfill the roles in other areas where you are not strong. For example, at Cashflow Champs, for example, we have Charles Seaman. He does our broker relations and underwriting, right? That's where his expertise is located at. Can he run a whole syndication? He can probably go across the board and do different things in different areas like anybody else can, but certainly that is his greatest strength, right? So he has built up great broker relationships in our market, which are the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida, for the past several years, right? And so there are good broker relations there. And so because of that work he has done, we're getting off-market deal presented to us, right? And even if a deal is going to come on market, we get early access to those deals in terms of knowing what's going on. So you want somebody who can delve in and build those strong broker relationships, can do the underwriting of the deal, can get back to the broker very quickly and kind of let them know where you stand, right? So because speed sometimes win deals in this multifamily environment. So the partnership you want to form, you're going to have somebody who specializes in broker relations. In our case, it's Charles Seaman. We have operations, such as Ryan Murphy does that. The guy I like to deal with software, deal with systems, and deal with the right tools in terms of making the whole thing synchronize and run efficiently and fluidly. I'm in investor relations, and so I speak with investors all the time and interact with investors. We serve them, right? And Prashant did more like help with capital raising, and then of course with investor relations too. And then we have guys, Brian and Christian, who help with our marketing, with the social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. I mean, don't give that to me, because I mean, I couldn't handle that at all. I mean, it's just something that I'm not very good at, right? So you find people who fit those roles, like Christian and Brian, and they do it very effectively and do it very well, right? So here you are with each person are working in their area of strength. Now, of course, there may be some overlaps in strength, and that's good, since we can cover for each other on occasion, right? But for the most part, people stay in their lane as far as the major area of strength is concerned, and then the team benefits best that way. One thing you want to do, you want to be patient with it as you go, because finding the right partner does take time. It's very similar to dating, is my analogy, right? I mean, you don't want to rush the process, but always be working on finding the right partners. Sometimes the gift may not always be as beautiful as the paper it's wrapped in, right? So sometimes you meet somebody and you think everything will work out right, and it just does not, because once you delve in, you find out that some people will put on a good front up front, but just lack the character and the integrity and the work ethic it takes to run a successful business, right? So these networking events that you will go to will bring you in contact with many individuals, and that is important. But more important is just to follow up with those individuals. You want to follow up with your prospective partners on social media, just to check out their content in social media. I'm pretty sure that they'll be checking out your content as well. It may not be a bad idea to do 1 or 2 deals, for example, with your potential partner, just to see the alignment and the synergies that exist when an actual deal is being done, right? How are challenges being handled when they come up, and simply, do I enjoy just working with this person or just doing business with this individual, right? So before deciding a partner, you may want to go over some important questions that can serve as guardrails for the partnership, as well. So some of the questions I would ask is, have you been in a partnership before? Did it fail or did it succeed, right? Can you elaborate on the events of that partnership? What vision do you have for our team in the short term and in the long term? And, have you dealt with conflicts in prior business relationships before? And how are those conflicts resolved, right? Listen, I mean, you want to delve into who you're going to be dealing with. It wouldn't be too much to ask, have you had a criminal conviction in the last 10 years, right? I mean, this is serious business. You're going to be dealing with multiple million-dollar properties. I mean, if you want to build your business to that level, right? So how many hours are you committing daily to the business, right? You kind of want to get those answers. Now, there are no guarantees of success, but finding out some of these questions will help you determine if there's an alignment of interests and synergies to build a successful business relationship, right? Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and place those in the chat and I'll answer them. I'm getting ready to wrap this up. So buckle your seatbelt. We're about to bring this plane to a landing. So let's just talk a little bit about the last thing that we're going to cover today, which is let's look at successful communication for effective partnerships, right? There are a lot of moving pieces in a syndication team, right? So to keep everyone on the same page, it's important that we have clear and effective communication. And one of the ways we do that is through regular meetings. At Cashflow Champs, we have 2 scheduled meetings per week for our team, where we kind of give briefing on what is going on in our respective areas. So, for example, operations, will bring us up to speed on the progress in that area of the business, for example. And, we'll probably hear from acquisition as to how many LOIs have been submitted, whether or not we are in a best and final for any deals, etc. And all the different areas of the partnership give an update, right, in terms of kind of what's happening. Now, successful communication happens daily also via various channels too, right? So we use WhatsApp for easy texting. We may do, of course, email is always there, a quick phone call. So there is constant communication so that relevant information is transmitted to the appropriate personnel in a timely manner, right? That's important. So our planned weekly meeting has an agenda. We go over specific key performance indicators. We cover major and minor items for the week, and we also make projections for what's coming up for the following week. This year is going to be our first. We'll be doing a yearly planning meeting, and that is probably where the partners probably get away for maybe 2 or 3 days later on in the year, maybe October or so, where we can go and plan for the year that is coming up, right? So of course, we have Zoom. We jump on regular Zoom call sometimes. I mean, somebody may reach out and say, I got to jump. This is something that came up. We need to jump on a Zoom call and discuss it, for 5-10 minutes or however long it takes. In terms of, if we're in the best and final for a deal like we were last week, we had to jump on for an hour just to, see the numbers, see the projection, the changes that has taken place to the last underwriting to make a decision whether or not we're going to go forward. So, the constant communication just is a great thing, and those are some of the things in terms of having successful communication for effective partners. So finding a partner in the multifamily syndication is a big step, because this is somebody that you hopefully will be working with for years to come. So take the time to do that, invest the time to do that, and I would say don't rush the process. Like I said before, just take your time to get it done, and get it done well. So for that, I'm going to kind of just check the questions here. If you guys have questions, put them in the Q&A box. We'd love to answer those. I'm going to kind of stop the share here and maybe come back online to the gallery and see if we can address any more questions that you guys may have. But thanks so much for being here today. Let me check the Q&A box. Yeah, we do have a question here. So shoot, this is from Jerry. You can shoot your questions in here if you have it. Jerry said, you spoke on broker relations. How can a broker give value to an investment group? Well, if you spoke on broker, how can a broker give value to an investment group? Well, a broker is very important for a syndication group, because a broker is the individual who normally deals with the seller. The seller is the one who is selling the property. Those are the properties that we as syndication group are trying to buy. So if the broker relationship is very substantial. I think we did a webinar on broker relationships before, but these are the guys. The broker controls at least 85% of the listings in any market. And so these are the listings or properties that each operator or syndication team wants to get. And so the broker can add value in that. If you have a good relationship with them, they can vouch for you with the seller and put you in a good position to win. I mean, I'm actually down here in Atlanta right now, and we're doing a due diligence today on a $32 million deal that we picked up, and part of it has to do with broker relationship, right? I mean, there were different teams that were in for the deal, and it came down to us and another team, but they think that we had the confidence they had confidence in us that we could close the deal, and part of it had to do with relationship that was built with the broker for a long time. So I mean, that speaks volume right there. You can pick up a $32 million deal just because of the relationship that you have with that broker. It's one of the biggest relationship that you want to develop, right? And it will add tremendous value to you, and I mean value even in your bank account too. So that's a great relationship that you want to have. John ask a question: what's the best way to build relationship with a broker to get first-hand off-market deals? A broker's responsibility is to represent the seller. That is their fiduciary responsibility. They are obligated to do that. But the best way to build a relationship with broker is to constantly be in communication with them, right? You can take them out for lunch. You can take them out for dinner. You can, like for example, this past Christmas, we throw parties for our brokers, right? We throw a party both in DC, throw a party in the Carolinas for our brokers, just to let them know that they're appreciated. We appreciate what they have done over the years, and it's also an encouragement for them to continue to do it in the years to come. So it would be a good thing to send a nice little gift to your broker, right? I think your broker will enjoy that, but certainly it wouldn't be a bad idea to show up at your broker's son's baseball game unexpected. I mean, it's just normal relationship building, right? You go ahead and you do that. People show kindness to people, right? Whatever way you can, they will appreciate that, and that's a great way to build a relationship. Let's think about the relationship that you value right now in your life, right? Or whoever it is with. Just think about what you have done, and do some of those similar things to the broker. I know you have to be kind to those relationships, and you have to value those relationships, and that's the same thing that we do in terms of building a relationship with brokers. So those are some of the best ways to build. And to get off-market deal, the broker really, like I said, have a responsibility to represent the seller, but they'll let you know upfront that you're getting a deal. They'll give you some early insight on it, but ultimately their job is to find the person who can probably net their seller the most money, right? But if it comes down to the wire, and they have to vouch for someone, if you have that relationship with them, then they'll put you ahead of the pack. How do you compensate brokers on an off-market deal? I think this is a little bit off topic here in terms of the partnership that we kind of went over. So I'll kind of jump that question a little bit. I'll just touch on it a little bit, Peter. But I mean, compensating your broker, you really kind of have to kind of go to the brokerage firm, so to speak. Yeah, so that's probably the last one there. Yeah, but yeah, there are no more questions, but I want to let you guys know that we really appreciate you guys showing up for these webinars. We hope they're bringing value to you. That's the objective of these webinars, to bring value to you and continue to spread the word about Cash Flow Champs. Invite other people who want to learn about multifamily syndication and multifamily investing in general to come to these sessions. You can check out our Facebook group again. You can see the link that is in the chat, and you can always go to cashflowchamps.com in terms of finding out some more information. If you would like to talk with us, go ahead and fill out that form on our website and somebody will reach out to you. But thank you so much for your time here today. We appreciate you coming, and we'll see you next week for another live webinar.